All right. Well, it looks like we're live. We got at least one person in here. I'm not sure how many. It doesn't. Oh, three people. Three people waiting on me. Let me get disclaimers out of the way. We'll jump right into it. If you're a regular here, you already know kind of what the disclaimers are. This is a weekly live broadcast, pretty much every Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Central. This is where I am. You can come in here and ask questions, or we can just talk about whatever you want to talk about. I don't really care. I don't have any topics that are necessarily off limits. Religion, politics, all those controversial stuff. I don't care. We can talk about all that stuff if you want. I don't believe you should hate somebody just because they have a different opinion than you. I believe we can all still get along. So the only rules I have really is don't be hateful with anybody. Don't be rude. Don't start cussing anybody. Like I said, we can have a difference of opinion. We can have friendly debates. That's fine, but you don't need to get hateful or rude or anything like that about it. We'll have to kick you out if you do. Other than that, everything else is pretty much open. So we'll jump into it. I only got one chat so far to respond to. It's from Buck Reynolds. Says hello to everyone from Catoosa, Oklahoma. Hope everyone is well. And yes, I'm moved this week. So moving or you moved? Because weren't you? Yeah, you weren't in Catoosa, Oklahoma before, were you? You were. I don't know if that means you moved already or you're moving. Either way, hopefully it either went smooth or it goes smoothly. I don't know which one it is. Don is here from South Central Illinois. Good to see you, though. Or good to see you. He said you can say hello from South Central Illinois. No questions, though, huh? Nothing else, nothing interesting to talk about today, huh? No, it doesn't have to be a question. It can just be something, whatever you want to talk about. And then we'll wait for a couple more chats to come through. A little slow start today, I think. I hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody can hear me. I'm not seeing the microphone light bounce. Let's see. I don't know if my microphone's working. Make sure. I don't know. Can you guys hear me okay? Are we coming through okay? Check. Yeah, mic is good. Okay, good. Okay. It just, there's a little light that bounces when I speak in my microphone. It's not bouncing. So I guess it's just throwing me off. I guess we're good. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. We got Andy Dundas from Southwest Michigan here. Good to see you. And that was EUC Josh that confirmed my mic was good. Appreciate that. Oh, and Jacob Martin did too. Thomas Gollum says hello to everybody. Hello to you too. Don says, what news do you have on your rabbits? Well, I'm not sure what news you're looking for from the rabbits. I bred the silver fox. I'm waiting. I still got a couple of weeks before we find out if she has any babies. I don't know if you're referring to my last video. Lost one. If you didn't see the last video, kind of catch you up. I bred the silver fox doe a little over a month ago. Well, it's been a long time, over a month ago now. She never had any babies. So I rebred her again. It was about 2 weeks ago now. And in the time that before that, before I rebred her, and I don't know, a week or two before that, I lost my Tamuk doe. She just up and died. Don't know why. That'll drive you crazy trying to figure that out. So I just don't, I just chalk it. The rabbits are doing fine. No illnesses or anything that I can think of. So they're making it no problems. We got a cold front coming through. Got down to 20 last night, which has been pretty chilly for what I was going to say is that's pretty chilly for now because we've been actually unseasonably warm. We haven't been getting down below freezing really. We've been in the 40s and 50s. It just, I don't know, it's weird. But now we're getting down to like more seasonable temperatures. 20 degrees last night. I think it's supposed to be down a little bit below freezing tonight. And then Sunday morning, I think, we're looking at like maybe possibly below zero, like actual temperature below zero, not wind chill. So that's not even factoring in the wind chill. But anyhow, hopefully that was the update you were kind of looking for, or info you were looking for. I don't know if there's something else, you let me know. Gangster B says this is going to be a quality live. Well, I hope so. I mean, you never know. We'll see. Thomas, Chris, I've noticed that you have multiple hutches. How many are in use and what's their purpose? Grow outs or just to keep more birds or something else entirely? Oh, talking about my quail hutches. Yeah, I have two of them really. Well, actually I have kind of three. One I don't really use at all. In fact, it's laying on the ground. It got blown off the stand, and it's a smaller one. It not even being used. It was an old one that when I built it, I used it initially, but I just keep it around in case I need something to throw some birds into real quick. But the other two, primarily one I use for grow outs and the other one I use for breeders. So whenever I have a new hatch, if I'm not going to make those my future breeders, well, they go in the other hutch and they grow out in that. So it's empty right now because it's wintertime. A lot of times I'll have birds in it during the spring and summer. Dawn says, Sunday my rabbit will be day 31 on her breeding, but last Thursday night in your live, I had to leave. The storm came and tossed all the rabbit cages, and we had to go out in the downpour. Oh my goodness, that sounds terrible. Hopefully everybody's okay, the rabbit-wise, I mean. Jacob Martin says, would you recommend paper towels or shavings for brooding quail indoors? Which would be better for scent control? I'm having to brood mine inside with winter here. I don't know honestly how well shavings do to control the scent. Paper towels don't necessarily do a great job for that. I use those blue shop towels in mine just because it's so much easier to clean up than a bunch of shavings. I can just peel it up and then lay down another layer. It's just a lot easier to do that way. If you're brooding in like plastic containers or something like that, that may not be a big deal, especially if you have two of them, because you can just fill one up with shavings, transfer birds, go dump the other one to clean. But they do get pretty dirty pretty quick. The other thing with shavings is they have a tendency to get in the water. And it also can make your water, depending on what you're watering in, a little bit unstable. And if that tips over and floods pours a bunch of water all over the brooder box, you may lose a lot of birds. So honestly, I just prefer paper towels. It's just simpler because I don't have to worry about if they knock food out of the bowl. It doesn't get lost in shavings. It's right there where they can eat it. And like I said, it's just easier for me to clean. That's why I do that. But I don't know, I don't know if the scent's not too bad. As long as you keep it fairly clean, keep it dry, it's not really that bad. But shavings may do a slightly better job than paper towel. I don't really know because I don't use shavings. So I don't know if that's helpful or not. Life Done Cheap with Lee says hello from cold Ohio. Yeah, I got a little chilly here today too. Probably not as cold as you guys are, but it got chilly. Dawn says their stands just got moved Tuesday to the carport, and we will bolt them to the carport. Okay, so you got a plan so it doesn't happen again, right? Man, that sounds terrible though. I hope everything's okay. Let's see. Lila Shadow says, oh my gosh, I finally caught one of your lives. I wanted to thank you so much for making and sharing your videos on rabbits and quail. Well, thank you for the kind comments. I appreciate that. And thanks for making it to the live. It's always good to have additional people here. I'm glad you made it, even if it is first time, hopefully not last time. Hopefully we'll see you again. There's Andy Rabbit. Good to see you, Andy Rabbit. Life Done Cheap with Lee says, I have a doe due February 3rd. This will be her second litter. Well, good luck with that. Hopefully everything goes well. Chester Hickman says, good evening. Good evening to you too. Andy Rabbit wants to know how everybody is doing. I'm doing pretty well. Finally over my cold. Still just a little bit of congestion left over, but not that bad. Nothing like it was last week. I shouldn't have that many, if any, coughing fits, let's hope. Thomas Gollum says, does anybody provide vitamins or minerals for their quail, or is it a gimmick? Asking for a friend with a smiley face. Yeah, I don't do any extra vitamins, minerals, any of those kinds of things. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a gimmick, but if you're feeding a decent quality, like a game bird starter or something like that, that's got, all the nutrients that they need, there's no reason you would necessarily need to add extra vitamins, minerals, or any of those kinds of things. It's not necessarily a gimmick, but it's not needed. My birds do just fine without them. I've never provided anything like that. Dawn says, I don't know if the rabbit that is due on Sunday will have them, or if she does, if she will let them live. They are sitting in cages on the garage floor on boards 2 inches up off the cardboard, and they hate it. Yeah, they don't like being down there without any cover, probably, huh? Well, hopefully, hopefully, if she does have them, she'll probably let them. She probably will have them. She probably let them live. It'll probably be fine. Hopefully. Anyway, that's my guess. I don't think you'll have any issues with them. Ashley says, in my indoor brooder, I've used puppy pads with pine pellets on top. Works okay to control odor. That's not a bad idea. That's probably a pretty good idea. I use paper towels because they're cheap, but puppy pads would be simple too. Andy Rabbit says, oh wait, Gina Crow says hello to all. I think that's hello. It's actually HEYLO, probably a typo, I'm assuming, but I'm assuming that's hello. So hello to you too. Andy Rabbit says, thank you. Good to see you too, Chris. And let's see. Got some people talking to each other. I'll kind of skip over those. UC Josh says, I added 2-week-old quail to my hutch, and now they are 8 weeks old. I thought I had 15 female, 3 male. Apparently I was wrong, and I had about 6 roos. They destroyed one roo today, and I had to call him. Lesson learned. Interesting. I've never, you had 2-week-old quail, you added to your hutch, and now they're 8 weeks old, and they're 8 weeks old, so they're probably, they're just coming into maturity. And especially if you have lights on them, that does tend to, if you're going to have issues, it'll be about that time. And it may be because of too many roosters and the roosters trying to overbreed the hens. And they just finally had enough of it and decided to pick one out. Well, I'm sorry that happened, but not much you can do about it, unfortunately. The Andy Pearson, I think it is, says, howdy from Tonganoxie. I don't know where that is, but hello to you, and thank you for joining. Chester Hickman says, just had a litter of 7 California bunnies. Well, awesome. Congratulations on that. Hopefully the litter's doing well. Andy says the California rabbits are a pretty good breed. I agree. Californians are a good breed. Don says, my quail brooders get blue paper towels the first 3 days, then too messy, mixed newspaper with corncob bedding on top. They love the corncob bedding. It absorbs the heat. Yeah, that would work out pretty well too. What I do, since I only brood basically in the spring or the summer, is I have my brooder box in my shed out there. It sits over the top of my old, what I use for a brooder whenever I brood chickens. It's my old liner out of my truck, the bed liner out of my truck. When I bought the truck, it had a bed liner in it. I took it out. It was one of those plastic, drop-in ones, and I use that for a brooder for chickens. So anyway, I've got a bunch of straw underneath it, so I use them on blue paper towels for about the first maybe week at the most, and then I pull those out, and they're just on the wire floor at that point. Everything drops through onto the straw, and then I just clean that up when I'm all done. Let's see. Zara says, jumbo white celadon eggs coming tomorrow. Looks to be only 2 days for UPS delivery. Well, good luck with those. Hopefully you get a good hatch rate out of them. I'm sure you will with 2 days delivery. That's pretty good. Andy Rabbit wants to know, where did you get jumbo white celadons from? Kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen jumbo white celadons. I don't know why, but I don't know if I've seen them. Gina Crow says, I added 2 white females to my quail hutch yesterday, and my Firu attacked both of them. I know they're female. They both laid eggs with sat. Yeah, if they're adult birds, though, it doesn't really matter what the gender is, like if they're male or female or whatever. You add adult birds to an existing hutch with adult birds in it, they're almost always going to get beat up and tore up pretty bad, because quail can be fairly territorial. They live in little coveys, basically, and they don't take kindly to new arrivals. They do pretty well with young birds, 2 weeks old or 3 weeks old, somewhere around in there. But once they get up past about 4 to 5 weeks old, they look at them as an adult bird encroaching on their territory, and they just beat them up. They go after them. So it's very difficult to move them into the hutch with existing birds. Thomas says, think everyone is fine until my hen crows. Oh, think everything is fine until my hen crows. Thinking you're talking about, like, you thought they were all hens and then they started crowing and you realized they were roosters. Yeah, that's happened to me before too. UC Josh says he was the newest roo, and the old roo almost took his head clean off. Animals are violent. Yeah, they can be. Yeah, nature in general is pretty violent. All those people that say we shouldn't be hunting, it's like, if you don't, like deer, for example, if you don't keep deer populations in check, nature will, and nature's cruel. But What do we got to talk about now? Because it looks like we're at the end of the chat. We got 32 people in here. We're only 15 minutes in, a little early to get to the end of the chat. I don't think anything really interesting has happened this week. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything. Thomas says, "What does your family think of your quail rabbit hobby? How often do y'all eat quail eggs or rabbit?" Well, I mean, my family, I mean, it's been going on for a while, so I don't think it's that odd anymore. Eat quail eggs quite a bit. Quail periodically through the summer. I mean, and rabbits occasionally too. I mean, I couldn't tell you exactly how often. I'm out of rabbit right now because I haven't bred since last year, and I've been selling a lot of the rabbits that I bred because they were selling for $30 a piece. So we haven't been eating a whole lot of rabbit lately, but we'll pick it back up on that. The quail, we do eat the quail quite a bit. Everybody likes quail, so those go for more. Rabbit is not. I mean, rabbit's not bad, but you got to cook it with something to give it flavor because it's kind of bland. So it's not as big of a hit as the quail are, I think, for the rest of the people. For me personally, I don't really care, but it's not as big of a hit as quail are for everybody else. Plus, there's some people that are just a little bit weird about eating a cute little rabbit. It kind of bothers a little bit. Let's see. You see, Josh says garden talk. Yeah, I've been meaning I got to get out there and get my garden beds cleaned up and get them ready for spring. We got a little while, but I need to get some compost on them and stuff like that. And I meant to do it over the last couple of weeks, but I was sick, and then I pulled a muscle in my back, the lower back. It's just now getting to a point where it's not bothering me. It wasn't terrible, but it was bad enough. I couldn't really get out and do anything. Plus being sick on top of that. I mean, it was just a couple of things, all these things combined, and I haven't been able to get out there and get anything done. So hopefully, maybe it's going to be awful cold this weekend, so I probably won't do that. But I might. Let's see. Life Done Cheap with Lee says, I'm bidding on some quail in an online livestock auction. So far, I'm at $2.25 each for 12. Oh, nice. Well, good luck with that. Hopefully, you get a good deal on them. Andy Dundas says, hey, people, don't forget to hit the like button. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, Andy Rabbit says, I can't believe it's almost time to get ready for spring soon, and we haven't had a winter yet. Yeah, we're still a little ways from spring. I mean, we're just in January, and what I'm thinking is if this is anything like the last couple of years, like last year, it was, well, the year before anyway, it was almost June before you could get anything out in the garden because it was cold. It's like our season shifted. So instead of being cold like November, December, January, February, it was cold more like December, January, February, March, and into April. Or even into May. I mean, honestly, it was just like everything shifted a little bit, but we'll see. Let's see. Luca Wine, I think it is, says, hey, Chris, can your 3x8 quail hutch be used as a rabbit hutch? Not really, because it's hardware cloth on the bottom. That's just too small of a gauge of wire for the rabbits. They're much heavier. They would probably just weigh it down anyway. Plus, it would be real hard on their feet with that real thin wire. Rabbits need a much thicker, heavier gauge wire to be able to, and only that, but this is also like 1/4 inch, mesh. Whereas with rabbits, they need a bigger mesh to let their droppings fall through, or it would just all collect inside. It's not a setup for a rabbit cage. It wouldn't work for that. Andy Rabbit says, that is true. I forgot about how long it was cold last spring. Yeah, it does seem like I said, like everything's kind of shifted a little bit. So we'll see. Usually, most of the time, I've been able to get things like tomatoes, peppers, the heat-loving stuff, get that going around Mother's Day, so mid-May. But it's kind of been pushing it till more like the first week of June before you can get things out. But then we're warm all the way up through like November almost. So who knows? We'll see. Dawn says 16 degrees this morning. I think winter is here again. It's been here with periodic warm spells. That is normal here. Yeah, that's pretty normal here too, but it really hasn't. We haven't had any winter hardly at all. I mean, we've only been down below freezing at night just a couple of times, and just barely. Last night was one of the colder nights. It was 20 degrees when I got up this morning. But thankfully, no wind, so it wasn't really all that bad out. But we're supposed to have a cold front come through. I mean, it's supposed to be cold the next couple of nights and getting up just like maybe 40 degrees during the day, which It's not that cold, but still not real warm. Thomas says, "Oh, and I found out that it was a fox attacking my quail pen. Put out a trail camera. Interestingly enough, I also had an owl and one curious raccoon investigating my hutch. The quail are now safe." Well, glad you figured that out. I kind of thought it might be a fox. I remember talking about that, and I think we suggested that maybe a fox was it. So that doesn't really surprise me. But glad you figured that out and you got them all secured. Lila Shadow says, "I've been working on a quail hutch following your build ideas. Still have to make the doors and set up a water system on it, but your build ideas have really helped me with it." Well, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Hopefully it goes well for you. They've worked pretty well for me, so I'm sure they'll work well for you too. Don, we didn't even hit freezing today. 40 is not cold. I go out without my coat at 40. Yeah, it depends on whether there's a lot of wind or not. If there's wind with it, 40 is pretty chilly. If there's not, it's not too bad. Doina Campion, I think it is, says, "Hello from Toronto from under 3 feet of snow." Yeah, 3 feet. I can't imagine. We don't get 3 feet of snow here hardly. I mean, ever, really. I can't remember the last time we had 3 feet of snow. In fact, if we get, like a foot and a half, that's a lot of snow. I mean, we don't get that snow very often at all. We'll get snow a couple of times a year. Very seldom is it over like 3 to 4, maybe 5 inches at the most. Sometimes if we get like a 15-inch snow, which happens occasionally, it just shuts the town down. I mean, hardly anybody gets out, and nothing. We're just not equipped to handle quite that much. We do have snow plows and things, but still, that's a lot of snow. EUC Josh says, "If in like a lion and out like a lamb is real, it might snow here in April, and I'm near Phoenix. It's almost 80 degrees all week and 45 at nights." Yeah, that's, Phoenix doesn't get that cold though, do they? I mean, it hardly ever snows there, right? I wouldn't think. I mean, I don't know. Let's see. Warren's Life says, "I'm hoping for a warming right into spring after February 25th or so." Yeah, well, it could happen, but anyway, sorry, I got distracted. Yeah, it could. I mean, you never know. I kind of really hope we get a little bit of wintertime. I mean, we kind of need it. I think that's just the natural way that, things work around here. But I can't complain too much. It hasn't been that bad, really. Andy Rabbit says, "A camera is the best way to fight predators." Well, maybe not to fight them, but to discover them anyway, figure out what's doing the damage, and then you know how to fight them. But you're right. Camera is fantastic for that. Doina says that I think half of y'all forgot to hit the like button. Well, we got 17 likes, 29 people here, but yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Zoar says, "Last snow here was a foot on Christmas in 98. Yeah, that was a long time ago, huh? A foot, though, that's a lot for Arizona. Seems like I remember that happening. You were in Arizona, right? Isn't that who we're talking about? Make sure I'm talking to the right person. I can't find the other comment anyway. Hopefully I've got you right. Andy Rabbit says, "My brother in Arizona has gotten more snow this year than we have. We haven't even really had any snow. I mean, we got like a light dusting one night. I mean, it was like you had to be out there watching it to really realize it was snowing at the time, but it didn't really accumulate at all. I think that was it. Oh, Zara says South Texas. Okay. I'm getting you mixed up. Thomas Gollum says, do female quail bully males and other females, or is it typically the males demonstrating aggressiveness?" And no, not talking about feather plucking. You're talking, about the males, when they breed, they grab the feathers on the back of the hen's head. So you'll see that, like a bald patch on the back of their head. That's not aggressiveness. So that's, just breeding behavior, kind of like you hinted at. But yeah, I've noticed that a lot of times when I have aggressive issues, it's the hens. Not always, maybe slightly more often the hens than it is the roosters. But I don't know exactly. I mean, I don't keep track of it well enough to be able to tell you that it's, exact what percentage of the time it's hens that are more aggressive. Probably more often than not, it is hens. Because I have more hens, though. That may be why, too. I don't know. Brian says, Brian Allen says, "Good evening from Alabama." Good evening to you. Let's see. Lila Shadow says, anyone ever have a rabbit throw a tantrum and shake their food to dump it all on the ground? I have to wonder why she does it, LOL. I've had rabbits do weird things like that. Sometimes I've had rabbits that were just like not easy to handle at all. They just really they're just kind of high strung and freaked out whenever you came around their hutches and do things. I mean, I feed them out of J feeders that are hooked to the cage, so they can't really pick it up and shake it or anything like that. But I've had them, do things like that. Exactly why, I don't know. Andy Rabbit says, you can't fight what you don't know, what you're fighting, better to see what you are fighting. That was hard to make out, but yes, I get what you're saying. You're right. Yeah, wasn't that like G.I. Joe? Like, now you know, and knowing's half the battle. Isn't that G.I. Joe? Doina says, in 98, we had so much snow in Toronto, the army came to dig us out, and we had negative 34 degrees Celsius and negative 43 with the wind chill. For scale, 40 degrees Celsius is negative 40 degrees Celsius is negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's pretty cold. I don't know if we've ever had it that cold here. Maybe close with wind chill, but not quite. Probably nowhere near, actually. I think we've been, the coldest I can ever remember is about, like, with the wind chill factored in, like negative 10 or so. But that's not very often. We're going to be probably close to that on Sunday, though. Don says, I have a rabbit. Do that, especially now that they are in the garage. Tear off the J feeders. We had to wire them on since last week's storms. Yeah, no kidding. I bet they're kind of a little freaked out being down there on ground level. Doina Camp says, did you get your silver foxes? Well, I do have silver fox. I have two breeders, silver foxes. She, I'm waiting right now to see if she's going to have babies. She did not the last time I bred her. She was bred, never had babies. So I rebred her about 2 weeks ago, and I'm waiting for, a couple of weeks before I know whether, she's going to have any babies or not. Andy Rabbit says, they told hubby today that they were going to back surgery on all L1, L5 vertebra February 16th. So he's going to have back surgery on February 16th on L1 through L5 vertebra. I don't know which ones those are, whatever, but prayers for a speedy recovery and hope that everything goes well. Don says, my pregnant rabbit is throwing her wood nest box all over the cage. She is like a Sherman tank. Yeah, she's definitely not happy, huh? You might try, if you haven't already, maybe cover the cage, like the front, or all but the front, the sides and the back, put a tarp over it or something like that, so she's also kind of feels a little bit more secluded. That might calm her down a little bit. EUC Josh says, I've seen it snow maybe 3 times in 25 years in Phoenix, but Arizona gets snow every year. Phoenix should be in the 50s to 60s now, not 80. It's hard to get chill hours on my fruit trees. Interesting. Yeah, I know that. Like up in like Flagstaff and that area, up in the higher elevations, it does snow, but I wouldn't think Phoenix gets it very often at all. Like you said, 3 times in 25 years. I don't find that hard to believe at all. It's been unseasonably warm here too. Andy Rabbit says, tomorrow is our anniversary, and LOL, nope, I didn't forget. Just hit you now, huh? Life Done Cheap with Lee says, I'm going to try to hatch emu eggs here in the next few weeks. Wish me luck. Well, yeah, good luck with that. Hopefully that goes well. I couldn't get away with emus here. They're no way. Zara says, what age do you choose your keeper jumbos for breeders? Thinking 5 to 6 weeks. Talking about jumbo quail, right? Usually somewhere around in there, usually close to 6 to 8 weeks. I wait till they get pretty close to full grown. Because what I typically do is just when I'm got new breeders, I just wait till they get pretty much full grown, so I don't have a big gap in my egg production. Then I process all of my birds, the current breeders, all the ones that are not going to be future breeders, and I'm just left with the ones that are my new breeders, and hopefully they start laying within the next day or two after that, so I don't have a big gap in egg production. Let's see. Andy Rabbit says, I'm worried about chill hours on the fruit trees this winter, too. I just planted some cherry trees last spring. Yeah, good luck. Hopefully that goes well. Hopefully it doesn't. What usually happens, or what's happened the last couple of years, is that it's like we have a big warm spell that causes all the fruit trees to kind of bloom out, and then we have a cold front that comes through and just kills it all off. Lila Shadow says, right, I have the J feeder wired on. She pulls to bend the wire, then yanks it up and down. I'm working on a new hutch, and I'll be arranging the J feeders differently. Hopefully that solves things. Hope it does. Good luck, and I know that can't come soon enough. Don says, thanks for the idea, Chris. We set cardboard on top of the cages, but it doesn't work. Yeah, I don't know if you can find something. I'm getting mixed up with who's having issues with what, and so if I'm responding to you wrong. But the J feeder is getting pulled out. I've had rabbits that would kind of pull on them every once in a while or push them out or something like that. And I've had to wire a few of them to the cage, and that's usually fixed the issue. But it's not been a big issue for me. Let's see. Thomas Gollum says, how often do you refresh your hens? Have you noticed a significant egg production drop-off over time? I usually do it about once every, I typically do it about once every year, but honestly, there's times where I've gone 2 years without switching out my breeders. I know Andy Rabbit's had hens for 5 years or something like that and still producing just fine. I don't really notice any big drop-offs in egg production, even over 2 years. If I'm keeping them for 2 years, they still produce pretty well, not really any kind of big deal. So, they can produce for quite a while. You can, Andy Rabbit, like I said, she'll have to tell you how many 3-year-old quail. She says, something I've noticed about 3-year-old quail is I get more hens to hatch out than roosters, but no drop in fertility. Yeah, I don't know. There may be something to that. I don't know. Nathan says, oh, excuse me. Oh, pardon me. I've been talking too much, I guess. Need some more oxygen. Had a yawn. Wait. Where are we at? Nathan Bailey says, hey, from San Antonio, Texas. Hello to you, and thank you for joining. Let's see. Nomada, I guess. I don't know. It says, my rabbits are 7 weeks old. When do I need to remove them from the mom? You could do it any time. You don't necessarily have to. I would say you want to make sure, I would probably remove them by 8 weeks. Really anytime after 6 weeks, they can be weaned, moved off the rabbit. There are some people that do it a little bit earlier, but 6 weeks is kind of the general wisdom, and it's a good time to go ahead and move them and get them weaned off the mother. But you don't have to necessarily do it right at 6 weeks. I would try to do it by probably like 8 weeks, just to give the mother a break and get them. They're starting to get pretty good size by then. Give her a little bit of a break from them. You definitely want to get them moved and the separated out male and female before they're 12 weeks old. By the time they're about 12 weeks old is probably the time to make sure that's done. Hopefully that answers your question. Andy Rabbit says, something I've noticed. Oh, already read that. Gina Crow says, anyone else near Thayer, Missouri who sells rabbits? There was someone near. I asked for contact info, but I think they aren't interested in selling to me, I guess. Well, I'm not really close to to there, and I don't have any extra rabbits for sale right now. But no, I don't. I don't know anybody. We'll see if somebody else in the chat does. Thomas Gollum says, need your Pepsi. Yeah, I'm a soda pop junkie, so it's always right here, always right handy. Zora says, are you in touch with My Shire Farms? No videos or much of anything for a while. Yeah, I talk to Zach every once in a while. I haven't for a while now. I haven't asked him specifically about why, not shooting videos or anything like that. I know he has a bunch of family stuff going on. He's super busy with, with that and the business. So I'm sure it's just life's getting in the way of things. It's hard to keep up putting out videos all the time, coming up with new content. I've kind of slowed down quite a bit because I don't know what to shoot sometimes. I don't know what to do videos on sometimes. You guys have given me some ideas, and I need to work on it, getting better at it. But yeah, it's nothing. He's doing okay. I just, why he's not putting out videos, I don't know for sure. I'm just guessing. Probably kind of tied up with life right now. And that happens from time to time. Oh, so now we're down. How much time we got left? How are we doing? Oh, we got all kinds of time. We got like 25 minutes left. Feel like that last couple of minutes went pretty quick, though. We had the chat pretty busy. All right. Is everybody still with me? Did we lose anybody? The chat just kind of died down all of a sudden. Now, there we go. Thomas Gollum says, Chris, do you ever sell hatching eggs? Not very often. I mean, I do from time to time. I'm not set up to be able to ship eggs. I'm not NPIP certified or any of those kinds of things. So I do sell some locally every once in a while, but I don't really push it. There's not much of a market for it around here. It's just the amount, as cheap as eggs go, there's plenty of people selling eggs around here. And as cheap as they go, it's just not worth dealing with most of the time. So I don't really bother with selling eggs very often at all. Gina says, let's see. Yeah, I was really hoping to find someone close because transport costs so much, and I have agoraphobia. Huh? What is agora? Is that fear of wide open? What is agoraphobia? I can't remember what that is. Let's see. Anxiety disorder characterized by intense fear of avoidance of places or situations where escapes might be difficult to help or help unavailable. Oh, interesting. You're a shut-in, okay. I do not have that problem myself, but I can sympathize with you. Hopefully you find somebody close to you. I just don't know of anybody right offhand. Let's see. Lila Shadow wants to know if you're looking for a specific breed of rabbit. Nathan Bailey says, do you ever have quail eating their own eggs? I don't know that I've ever had that issue. I mean, every great once in a while I find like a broken egg in there, but I don't, and maybe they ate it. I don't know, but it's not like on a regular basis to really be like an issue. It's never something I've had to deal with. Thomas Gollum says, does anybody do pickled eggs or have a good recipe? I know Verna put out a cookbook, Quail in the Kitchen, that has some pickled egg recipes in it. I really don't like pickled eggs. I've tried them a couple of different ways. I've made a couple of myself. I haven't found a way that I like them. I guess I'd be willing to try again, but I don't like them, so I don't really have a good recipe for them. Don says, can't get out of the house with a question mark. Let's see. Doina wants to know if you've tried Craigslist. And Gina says, I prefer chinchillas, but honestly, at this point, good meat rabbit. Chinchillas are pretty good, actually. Gina Crow says, I found only ones near Joplin, LOL. Yeah, I'm in Joplin, so there are people selling rabbits near here, but that's not necessarily near you, is it? How far is Thayer from Joplin? Let's see. Let's see, what is that? Yeah, it's a 3 hour, almost 3.5 hour drive, 200 miles. Yeah, I wish I could help you out. I just don't know anybody right offhand. Three and a half hours, that's a ways, isn't it? I got to think about this. I don't even know exactly where Thayer is. Oh, right on the Arkansas border, isn't it? Yeah, right up there by Mammoth Spring, huh? That's a pretty area. Gina Crow says, it's okay. I figured I ask here and there. It doesn't hurt. Yeah, you never know, because somebody might be in here and know it. Let's see. Andy Rabbit's closer to you than I am, but probably still not that close, actually. Actually, not that close at all, is it? I'm trying to see. But Gina Crow says, very pretty. Yeah, talking about the area you live in. Yeah, that is a pretty area. I love the Ozarks. Some of my favorite places. And I guess that's still Ozarks there. Although it's... Anyway, Lila Shade says, I'm in Colbert, Oklahoma. I do go and visit family in Kansas City, Missouri. I started raising standard Rex this year. Have you looked into rabbit shows? Good question. Yeah, you're going from Oklahoma to Kansas City, you're still nowhere near there. it's quite a ways away. But Gina Crow says, I fell in love, moved from Illinois. Yeah, that's a good move. I don't like Illinois. It's not it's one of my least favorite states, honestly. But most of that has to do with the restrictive gun laws and those kinds of things that I just don't agree with. But also, where you live now, way prettier area than Illinois. Nathan wants to know, when is the next Quail Con? I have no idea. I don't know if there'll be another one this coming year. I just don't know. Thomas Gollum says, do quail need to be registered in the States? I'm in Germany and everything requires a license. Had to take a fishing ethics class, a week-long course just to fish. I've been fishing since age of 3. Interesting. No, not in America. Not unless you live in Illinois. No, I'm kidding. Every state's a little bit different. I mean, some states have more restrictive laws than other states here. But quail generally, especially Coturnix quail, because they're not a native bird to the United States, they're looked at more like livestock. You don't require any kind of permit. Now, the city you live in may require you to get some kinds of permits for livestock, but usually they're kind of overlooked. It's not usually a requirement. They may require permits for like chickens or things like that. Like my city technically requires a permit for chickens and things, but they don't really monitor that and police it. Nobody's coming by and checking for your permit. As long as you're not annoying your neighbors, you don't have a rooster that's out there, a chicken rooster that's crowing at, 4:00 in the morning, waking up everybody in the neighborhood. You can get away without having a permit. You don't have to worry about it. Nobody's going to do anything for you. And if they do happen to find out you don't have a permit, they're not going to, you don't fine you or anything like that. It's not that big of a deal, is what I'm saying. So no, you don't require them. Now, if I was going to raise bob whites or something like that that's native, then I would require a permit from the Department of Conservation. But it's pretty cheap and easy to get. It's not terribly difficult. And we don't have to go through any kind of crazy classes to get a fishing license. We do have to buy a fishing license to fish in Missouri, the state I live in. But if you're a resident of the state, it's not really that bad. It's not that expensive. I think it's like $11 a year or something. And then hunting. Now, hunting does require, you do have to take a hunter safety course, but most of it you can do online. And then you have to do there's like a 3-hour class or something you have to sit through. And it's pretty much all common sense, but you do require that before you can get a hunting license. And then there's different licenses for, like, deer have their own license, turkey has their own license. Then there's a small game license that's like rabbits and squirrels and, that kind of stuff. Anyway, hopefully that kind of gave you the information you were looking for. Don says, I got 2 standard Rex for Christmas. Awesome. Yeah, I've been looking at, I kind of like the standard Rex. I haven't raised any. I'm kind of looking at them. I may get some. I don't know. Don says, I wish I could move back to Missouri from Illinois, but it can't happen. Ignore their laws here like most people with a brain. They are unconstitutional, so they can stick it. Yep. I don't blame you. That's kind of what I would do too. Sorry to hear that you can't move. That sucks. Lila says, right, it's a long drive, LOL. I drove 3 hours to my first rabbit show. I have driven a total of 6 hours to get rabbits before. Yeah, that's a long way to get rabbits for sure. Let's see. Gina Crow says to Don, well, if ever become friends here, you can visit. Yeah, that's very nice of you. Don says most people carry without concealed carry permits than I know here because they are unconstitutional. Yeah, we Missouri, I have a concealed carry permit. I keep it active because of reciprocity for neighboring states and all that kind of stuff, so I don't have to worry about it. But Missouri did pass constitutional carry, so it's technically I'm not required to have a permit. So yay, Missouri. We have a pretty good state here. I mean, it has its flaws just like anywhere else, but tends to be on the side of freedom and the American way. Let's see. Lila Shadow says to Don, awesome. I love my standard Rex so far. Texas is big and on just doing the mini Rex, so it was hard to find them. Oh yeah, standard Rex are hard to find. Gina Crow says I have a friendly heart. LOL. Yeah, well, that's good. You should. Hmm. All right. How are we doing? Quarter till. We got 15 minutes left. See what else we can get done in 15 minutes. Chat is dead. I know this is like boring whenever nobody's chatting. I don't have anything to respond to. I'm just sitting here quiet, but I don't know what to say. Doina says, Chris, how's the stock situation in rabbits and quails? I don't know what that means exactly. Yeah, I don't have much going on right now because, I mean, with it being wintertime, I primarily breed rabbits during the winter. I lost the one doe, so I only have the Timuck buck, and then I have the two silver foxes. She's been bred, so I got to wait 2 weeks or so before I find out if she has babies or not. As far as like if I were going to buy new rabbits, there's a decent supply of rabbits around. It's kind of difficult sometimes to find good purebred rabbits. A lot of times you get just kind of mixed breeds and that kind of stuff, but there's usually a decent supply of rabbits around here. I was going to tell you, Gina Crow, I don't know if you've looked at like Facebook groups in your area that we have there's like a 417 farm group or whatever that I'm part of. 417 is our area code here. Southwest Missouri groups that there's constantly rabbits being offered up in there. That's not super close to me, so maybe they're closer to you. Probably still a little ways away though. Don says to Lila, that is great. I stumbled on mine and then ended up trading some quail in the end too. It was a good deal for both of us. That's the best way to do it, right? Lila says, right now I have two does that have litters, a litter of 6 and a litter of 8. Nice. Andy Rabbit says, I'm still here. Just got a phone. A phone call, I'm guessing. I don't know. Gina Crow says, the cold makes some less talkative, I think, LOL. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I could see that. Thomas says, what traits are most terrible or most heritable? Heritable? Wait. What traits are most heritable? You mean like, anyway, in Coternic, size, egg, output, temperament, or growth speed? I think what you mean is like genetically what traits mostly get passed on. I mean, I would say probably most of those things. Temperament's questionable whether that's genetic or not. I think there's a lot of genetics. I think temperament is a lot of genetics. I've got fairly calm quail, and I usually have fairly calm quail. When I had quail that were aggressive, I usually had fairly aggressive quail. So I think there is a little bit of that to the genetics as well. But the other things that you mentioned, I mean, yeah, there's going to be oddballs in every group. I mean, that not everyone's going to meet up to that. But generally, if you have birds that lay bigger eggs, that grow faster, most of the time you're going to have more in the offspring that do the same than not, as opposed to the other way around, if that makes sense. So, I do believe pretty much all that stuff is genetic. I hope I got your question right. Gina Crow says, I did, and the people I found said they no longer breed. LOL. Interesting. Well, I'm out of ideas then. Nathan Bailey says, I got 60 quail eggs going into the incubator in a few days, hoping to start selling eggs. Good luck. Hopefully it's a better deal for you because it's not much of a market for it here. It like I said, it's just so cheap that it's just not worth doing unless you're going to do it on a large scale, get NPIP certified, be able to ship eggs. And even then you're competing with a bunch of bigger people. So I don't know. I hope it works out. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I'm just saying, I hope it works out. Zora says, true story. Waitress shot a robber 7 times. The judge asked why. The waitress replied, the gun only holds 7 bullets. Yeah, Texas is now an open carry. Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's funny. Oh. Lila Shadow says, to Dawn, that's awesome. I have some quail growing out right now, too. It's so exciting getting into raising quail and rabbits after dreaming about and researching it for years. Oh, it is exciting. It's always fun. Gina says, Chris made me fall in love with quail in his videos. I was going to do ducks till I saw his videos. No reason you can't do both, but hey, I'm glad you got something you liked out of the videos anyway. Don says, I feel I have quail eggs L going on right now. I have 2 brooders of 5-day-olds, 1 incubator with 3 dozen going, and then I got a new incubator for backup, and we'll be testing it out. And I'll set eggs in it 2 more days. Good grief. Yeah, that's a lot going on. And Don says, Delilah, congratulations. You're living the exciting life. Thomas wants to know, has anybody ever hatched out a twin egg? You're talking about like a double yolk egg? I've never tried. I always, and I think maybe I've got 1 or 2 in the incubator from time to time. I've never had one hatch. My understanding is that they very seldom hatch, and if they do ever hatch, they very seldom survive. They just it's kind of a failure to thrive kind of thing. So probably not. Gina Crow says, to Dawn, I started breeding button quail for my sister, and the eggs I don't hatch will be puppy snacks. My dog gets a lot of quail eggs, honestly. He likes them, and they're a great supplement for his, we raw feed. So Thomas Gollum says, I had a larger egg and ended up eating it, 2 yolks. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is, why pass up on that, right? You get a double yolk egg, that's like win, So yeah, that's what I usually do with them too. Lila says, if you were to choose a rabbit coat color, what would be your favorite one, Chris? Oh boy, I don't know. Good question. I don't really care, honestly, that much. I've had some rabbits that I thought were like cuter than other rabbits. Of course, the all white ones are not necessarily the best, best color, I guess. Not my favorite. I like the silver foxes quite a bit. I like the blue silver foxes. I think those are kind of cool, just because they're a little different. I don't know what my favorite color coat would be. I haven't really thought about it too much. I don't really put too much into that. Zora says, every twin I have hatched, one is always small and sickly. Never try again. That's kind of my understanding too. Dawn says, puppy snacks sounds really good. Nathan says, I've tried, but sadly never hatched. Yep. Let's see. Todd something with a hard last name says, hey, Chris from Crete, Illinois. Been a while. Hey, it has been a while. Thank you for joining. Appreciate it. How are we doing on time? 8 minutes left. Let's see. John Collingsgrove says, are you still using cages with dust baths? If so, what's the rate of eggs laid in the sandbox versus the non-sandbox area? Yeah, I'm still using my hutches. They still have half of them are sandbox. The other half is open. And it's like 95% of the eggs are laid in the sandbox. It's very seldom do I have ones laid outside. Now, this morning when I went out to collect eggs, I had 2 of them laid out in the feeding area, and all the rest of them, like 8 of them, in the sandbox. But 95% of the time, at least, all the eggs are in the sandbox. It's just most of the time. And it's better when they are too, because they come out much cleaner. I don't know why. Well, I guess because they're rolling around in the sand probably, and that cleans them off. Doina says, Chris, have you ever talked about the cost of rabbit feed versus meat cost? I've done some math on it before, and I think I've talked about it in a video before. I can't remember the specifics what I came up with. We'll see. Right now, about a 50-pound bag of rabbit feeds costing me about $16, I think, something like that. It lasts me quite a while, but I would need to do the math again on how much feed I go through to feed like the babies to grow out size. It's really a pretty good conversion on it. I want to say, usually I think I average somewhere around $3 or $4 per rabbit by the time I've got them up to butcher size, in feed cost. Gina says, imagine the baked goods from the double yolk eggs. Yummy. Yeah. Fried egg sandwiches too. Actually, probably my favorite fried egg sandwich was a duck egg. That was fantastic, but I do like a fried egg sandwich every once in a while. Thomas says, thanks, Chris. Until next week, the twins are waking up. Well, The twins, I think that means your kids probably. So, yeah, go deal with them. You only got a short time in life when you can. Enjoy it while you can. And we'll see you next week, man. Take care. Wildlife Homestead Observer says I'm late. Uh-oh. Yeah, you only got like 5 minutes left. But hey, better late than never, right? It says good evening. Good evening to you too. All right, what else we got in this next 5 minutes? I leaned close to the mic there. Hopefully I didn't blow your eardrums off. Let's see. Lila says, the Rex rabbits I have produce opal, blue, and broken variety. There's so much to learn with colors. Honestly, a bit overwhelming. I really do like the blue, opal, and brokens. Yeah, I kind of like all those too. I've thought about getting into standard Rex. I mean, they look like pretty good rabbits to me. I don't see why they wouldn't be. UC Josh says, any ideas on how to cook/eat quail eggs? I have 2 raw egg mixed with olive oil, lemon juice, and cayenne pepper, like a shot every morning. And the dogs and cats get some. Even our pet lizards get some. Yeah, well, I mean, eat them like you do any other egg, right? I mean, I like fried eggs better than scrambled. My wife likes scrambled eggs better. So, whenever I cook eggs, I usually will, I've got the scissors, you snip the end of the shell off and dump the egg out. I'll usually dump about 5 of them into a little bowl and then dump that in and fry it like one egg. So it's like one egg with multiple yolks. And then you can just cut the yolk out and have a whole yolk every bite. It's fantastic. But when I cook for my wife, she likes the scrambled eggs, so I'll usually scramble those up, maybe 10 of them or so. Scramble those up in a bowl, a little bit of cheese in there, mix it in. Throw those in a pan, let them start to sit a little bit, push them around until they're not like you would scrambled eggs, and then finish them off with a little bit of cheese. Throw a cast iron pan. I've got a smaller cast iron pan. It's not hot at the time, but cook those eggs till they're just almost completely done, because they'll continue to cook for a little bit longer after you get them out of the pan. Throw them out of the pan onto a plate, throw some cheese on top, put the pan, the smaller cast iron pan over the top of them like a lid, basically, to melt that cheese over it. That's about it on that. But man, you can do all kinds of things. I make great omelets. They're eggs. I mean, how else do you eat eggs, right? I mean, there's however you would eat regular eggs. I don't know. I don't have a bunch of crazy egg recipes. Andy Roberts' rabbit is back and off the phone. We'll see if anybody else has got some crazy egg recipes that I've never thought of. I don't know. John Collingsworth says, I like the idea of his sandbox, but just didn't know if it was worth the effort. I have a rollout on the great side of the cage, but it seems it would be a waste of time. So you think it would be a waste of time putting a sandbox in? Yeah, I don't know, honestly. I mean, if you've got the rollouts, I try to roll. I didn't like the rollout cages. It's not that big a deal for me to open the hutch up and collect the eggs. It didn't really save me that much time, and it just I just didn't like them. So to me, the sandbox is a way better option, but that's just me. Let's see. Gina says, let's see, I just got have a great week and weekend, and bye-bye to, wait, I just got I don't know. Anyway, you're saying goodbye, I think. You have a great week and weekend, and bye to all. Goodbye to you too. Thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. Hopefully you have a great weekend as well. Don says, LOL, I took my headset off when you leaned in and turned it off just in time. Standard Rex are nice so far for me. I'm thinking about them. Wildlife Homesteader says to Andy Rabbit, are you on a Samsung refrigerator? I don't know what you're talking about. Lila Shadow says, hopefully you feel better, Chris, and the wind and cold isn't too bad. When you work on your projects, the wind is awful when it is strong. I miss the tiny, slight breezes. Yeah, no, I feel pretty good. I mean, I don't have much of a cough left at all. My back's really pretty much better. I mean, I can still feel that muscle a little bit. It's not that bad, though. Now it's just mildly uncomfortable from time to time as opposed to painful. So hopefully that's good. Doina says, have you sown your onions yet? You promised garden content this year. No, I haven't done anything really I'll do some garden content. I got to work that in. To me, gardening's pretty easy. There's not a whole lot to do, so it's not. I don't know what kind of content to produce there, but yeah, I'll get some done. I haven't done onions. I don't know if I'll grow any onions or not. I typically don't do a whole bunch of onions. Andy Rabbit says, little egg bites are good. Meat, cheese mix, and bake in a muffin pan. Yeah, that's good. Wildlife Observer says, as always, God bless. God bless you too. Yep, it's right at 8 o'clock. Time to get this wrapped up, isn't it? All right. Snuck up on me today. So if I didn't get to your comment, I'm sorry. We'll do it again next week, see how we do. Thank you guys for joining tonight. I appreciate it. I should be back next week. Don't see any reason why I won't be. And we'll see you then. Until then, as always, God bless.